East Leeds, Leeds, Yorkshire, Europe, the world, the universe, the multiverse. Writing on air.
Welcome to Chapel FM Arts Centre, Writing on Air, the second day, the end of the second day, the climax of the second day here in Studio 3, our radio theatre. Welcome to everybody. And if you're listening, another welcome. And if you're watching, another welcome. In a minute, we're going to be hearing from poets from the South of Leeds. Come on, let's have a... Yes! It's about time. It's about time. It's lovely to feature you here this evening. But first of all, before we get going with that, we've got a special guest, somebody who is not on the programme, but somebody who wants to read and is going to read now. Jodie. Come down, Jodie, and you can explain why you're here. I'll tell you what.
Thank you. Hello. I've come to read a poem. It's the first proper one I've written, actually. This is for my sister, who doesn't know I'm doing this. She is just there. Bryony, Bryony, a queen bee. It's your big bee. This year you're 50. 50 years of fun and pranks. Always a joke left in the tank. Always a lotus flower rising up through the shit. Turning pain into compassion and understanding. That's true grit. That's my sister over there, fighting for the underdog and creating and advocating despite the hard slog. Invested in supporting and bringing people together. Thriving on bringing strength to those persevering through hard weather. Bringing mad humour to the darkest of nights. With that glint in her eye, you know it'll be all right. Here's to celebrate in this bright spark for many more years. I love you. Happy birthday, Bri. Cheers. Thank you.
Big round of applause for Bridie's birthday. Happy birthday. So we like a bit of guerrilla poetry. Poets just turning up and reading. That's what we like here at Chapel FM. So, yeah, I've been hearing about the fantastic poetry scene down south in Leeds, and I really want to get down there soon, if they'll have me. And we're looking forward to tonight. So I'm going to hand over to Faye and Tim.
Good evening and welcome to Writing on Air 2024's live show, The BEATiful South. I'm Tim Brooks.
I'm Faye Marshall.
And tonight we are privileged to bring you a wide range of writers and voices who are active in the poetry community in the south of the city and beyond. Before we start, a little background into what brought us here tonight.
So earlier this year, we were invited to this very radio theatre to respond to the 2023 Leeds Literature Ecology Review, which was commissioned by Leeds City Council. The report demonstrated the wonderful literary work that emerges from this city, including the city's vibrant and passionate poetry scene.
It also confirmed what we kind of already knew, that the main venues and events are hosted by Central Leeds and the north of Leeds as well.
South of the city, there are fewer events, but the scene is growing. Morley's The Runcible Spoon is now joined by the night that I have the privilege of hosting, Cloth and Coal, and there is the amazing night that Tim hosts in Wakefield, Getting Gobby in the Lobby, which attracts headline poets from all over the UK. Both of us have had the pleasure of hosting many first-time performers and watching them grow to love the art.
Tonight, you're going to be taken on a journey. The festival theme of recovery has been interpreted in the most diverse and varied ways by all of our poets. Some poets you might love, some you might not. Some might challenge you or make you feel uncomfortable. The magic of poetry is that it takes you on to someone else's world. However, please be aware that some of the poems use strong language and refer to themes including trauma and other difficult experiences.
And if you find any of the poems difficult to listen to, please feel free to step outside the studio and take a break. I'm going to open with a poem. It's a poem that some of you have heard before. I wrote this poem for the women of the United States who have recently made something of a fragile recovery, focusing back on this year's Writing on Air theme of recovery. But they are faced with what I would consider to be some more adversity over the last few weeks. This is called Sisters of America. Sisters of America, the key to your heart has snapped in the lock, and I know you're afraid, like butterflies. Pinned, then forced to watch flight, you wear men's laws like shrunken jumpers. They do not befit you, my ambrosial queens of swords. I watched the pattern as it rose up from the carpet. I locked gaze with the wood grain of the windowsill. Choice makes us human. This is an occupation. Enough. Nobody owns us. Thousands of years of accepting less, crawling over my skin, eating my good flesh. Oh, America, I am nothing but an insufficient goddess. All I can grant you is solidarity, alarm, and rushes of hope. Tell me, how can your body be your body, not somebody's, when your guns have more rights than your women? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. It takes courage. It takes real courage to stand up and perform poetry in front of an audience, a live audience like this, and live on the radio simultaneously. So we ask that you show our poets your appreciation. And without further ado, I would like to introduce our first poet, known on the South Leeds poetry scene as Radical Annie. Please give a warm, warm round of applause for Julie Baird, who is reading Throstle and Mavis, followed by Too Much Too Young, 1985.
Thank you, Faye and Tim. Throstle and Mavis. I couldn't imagine it at all. Face swollen, skin tight, head full, eyes stinging, hollow soul, suspended silence, shattered glass, song thrush, sunlight. Thank you. Too Much Too Young, 1985. Town with my baby son, feeling like a good day had begun. My purple eyeshadow getting attention. Why were they all staring at my new invention? Anxiety rising, I glowered at the National Front, shoving them their leaflet, trying to be blunt. Nothing could spoil this day, no way. Inside, excitement beyond measure, feeling so much pleasure. In my purse, a whole £10 spare. I had a tingling feeling, so special, so rare. Shall I buy a treat for me and my boy? Maybe go to Moon's and buy him a toy. Only one more job to do, pop to the library with the overdue books. £10, that's your fine today, said the crooks. Trembling, I opened my purse. In my head, I said a curse. Die, you rich people, I hate you. You really have absolutely no clue. To feel the fear of no money, no status, worthless. To feel like you are part of the underclass, crushed underfoot like a piece of glass. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie Graham. Next up, can you put your hands together for Kellyanne Martin?
As we stood leafing through cards at the stall in Leeds Market, my mum, Nana and me, a man came and stood behind me and groped my childlike 9-year-old bottom through my thick purple winter coat. I stood there, rooted to the spot in fear. Too scared to speak up, so I said nothing. My relatives were oblivious. They had no clue what was going on amongst the hustle and bustle of the Christmas shoppers. After we left the card stall, I told them, that man behind me was feeling my bum. And thus I then had to relay to them the details of the whole sorry, sordid incident. A few days later, in the market again, only this time with just my Nana in a pottery shop. Whilst we were paying for her new cups, unbelievably the same guy approached me with his same sick bum-groping tactics. This time I spoke up. Nana, it's that man again. And what happens next makes me still swell with pride years later. My 5'0" grandmother turned into an almighty screaming demon, a mighty force to be reckoned with, shouting and carrying on at this predator, pointing her finger in his ratty face, and making such a god-awful screaming fuss that everyone nearby turned to glare at this paedophile, who promptly sloped off. After reporting this scumbag to the police, a day or so later we saw him again. I recognised his ratty eyes and pathetic moustache, selling grimy roast chestnuts at a mobile stand near the Schofield Centre. So after another visit to Millgarth Station, the police took us on the search for him. We got to ride in the police van. I liked it. And when I pointed him out, the officers picked him up and bundled him in the back of the van like the piece of garbage that he was. I don't know the end of the story. That is, I've no idea what happened next to this man. What happened to me is not overly traumatic, just a hatred of personal space intrusion from others and a lifelong issue with people feeling my bum, me going nuts with those who try to touch me. However, it could have been worse, and no doubt it was for others. Other childish, innocent victims who became this nonce's prey.
Thank you very much, Kellyanne. Next up, Leanne Brown with Red Flags.
There's a form of colour blindness where you can't tell red from green, but I have a rarer metaphoric form where warnings can't be seen. In the throes of a romance, I can't interpret what they mean, for I have a blind spot for red flags. He'll say things that should cause alarm. I'll run at them full pelt, and pals might raise their eyebrows, but I cannot be telt. The gut feelings that others feel, for me they only felt, for I have a blind spot for red flags. For example, at the pictures, when we see a Star Wars prequel, he's furious to know it looks more modern than the sequel. When I explain, he shouts me down and my beamer has no equal. But I do have that blind spot for red flags. He crawls back. He explains that he was having a bad day, some illness in his family and a mix-up with his pay, and I feel sad for him that this cruel world has treated him that way, and I truly have a blind spot for red flags. Gradually, I realise he's moved into my flat. He looked after me when Gran died, and he never went home after that. He sells it as a kindness, so if I object, I'll be a twat. Maybe I could have questioned that red flag. Now he insists that he loves me and I'm the apple of his eye. And if I lost weight, I'd be quite pretty. And if I loved him, I would try. Then he would pledge his lasting love till all the seas gang dry. And the rabbit coat disarms me and I let that red flag go by. We party, because we're youngsters, and he can fair turn on the charm. And in public, he's attentive, proud to have me on his arm. Sometimes in private, he's a meanie, but it's rare, so where's the harm? An odd bad day is surely not a red flag. We both know something's not right, so to fix it, we get wed. A commitment I am sure will fix his insecure, sad head. We're now free to make a fresh start, but he quits his job instead. And I fear, dearly beloveds, seeing that red flag. I need to pay the mortgage, so I work and work some more, and we see each other less, and so it gets worse than before. He gambles through the joint account, then he punches through a door, and fear now makes me conceal the red flags. His tempers are spectacular. They bring me to my knees, like when I use his Wensleydale, I should know that that's his cheese. He throws it in a puddle and he cannot be appeased, and I feel too ashamed to name the red flags. I stay away more often, and my career begins to fly, and I'm surprised to find that there are folk that I'm admired by. He's jealous, he gets physical. I'm now so numbed, I can't cry. Do I deserve this for triggering those red flags? Now I wonder who that girl was and why she thought that she deserved to live in fear of violence and it was a normal way to be. I'm glad that she escaped and she is loving being free. But it saddens me now all she sees are red flags.
Wow. Thank you. That was Leanne Brown. That was an incredible performance. I'd like to welcome to the microphone our next poet from Wakefield, William Thirsk Gaskell.
Answers to FAQs. Where do I find the quarterly statistics for the number of bed days spent by 0 to 17-year-olds on adult wards in 2017? Where can I find the monthly statistics for the number of physical restraints involving people with learning disabilities in England in the financial years 2012 to 2013 and 2013 to 2014? Where can I find the number of patients currently in contact with mental health services whose accommodation status is homeless? Where can I find the number of patients currently in contact with mental health services who have served in HM forces? Where can I find the total number of patients in contact with mental health services broken down by age? Where can I find the number of inappropriate out-of-area placements which were more than 200 kilometres away from the patient's local contact area? Where can I find the number of patients with a diagnosis of gender dysmorphia who also have a diagnosis of self-harm broken down by gender at birth? How many patients with a diagnosis category of common disorder in the last 12 months were in employment and had an accommodation status in the mainstream housing group? Where can I find them? You can find them in every city and town, in every human settlement. You can find them in every workplace, on every street corner. Not all are holding out empty paper cups. Some of us write books.
Thank you very much, William. Next up, can we please have Ali Whiteley with a poem untitled number 43.
Thank you. Untitled 43. Sprinting up the down escalator, an uphill climb, dragging bags of lead, smoke filling, flooding your lungs, eyes screaming, ears ringing. You've got to get through this. You've got to get through this. You've done it before. You can do it again. Just run and run and run and don't look back, because looking back means acknowledging it was there and it happened and it could happen again at any time. Keep climbing and don't look back. Keep sprinting and don't look back. You will get through this just the same as last time, kicking and swearing and carrying the shit uphill. Grit your teeth and skin your knees. You will get through this whether you like it or not. You are stubborn and, yes, exhausted. But the stubborn will see you through, and the spite will smile with you, and the spite will smile with you when you scream into the abyss, "I fucking told you so." Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ali. I love that. I'd like to welcome to the mic now Laura Graham, who's going to be reading an excerpt from Afterdrop, which went out live this afternoon on Chapel FM and can be heard in full on the Chapel FM player.
I've started coming to the river. Some triathlon dads show me the ropes, where to get in and how to use a tow float. They power upstream in the neoprene and leave me floating in the shallows, weightless. A fleshy-thighed woman who looks like she makes good pies teaches me about Afterdrop and the subtle art of recovery. How the most dangerous time to swim is when you leave the river, when cool blood moves from skin to organs and makes temperature drop. How to time swims to end with euphoria, not pneumonia, and how warm drinks, laughter, and home-baked biscuits help. The baby has turned out to be a good one, a healthy appetite and an easy smile, chubby legs that are a joy to squeeze. The top of his head smells like milk drops and heaven. He's a Sagittarius, intelligent, loyal, adventurous, so they say. I'm not sure I believe in all that now. I try to take him and each new day as they come. Being a mum is hard. We aren't meant to walk this path so alone. We aren't meant to hand over newborns to drink first milk from a plastic tube, or push prams through biting winds when our birth scars gently weep. Even with an easy birth, we need nurture and time to heal. We need community, and we need time just to be us. Not mum, just us. I come here as often as I can. Belly pouring over bikini, I stand on river's edge. Salmon skin dances with freckles. Intimate scars are barely hidden. Beach boughs tickle the cool water as I edge in reluctant limbs. Irresistibly drawn here, I am less than the sum of my parts. Pushing against the current, I force my way upstream. Ripples radiate from outstretched fingers, cast elegant spells. Red kite throws down a warning whistle when I move to the deepest stretch. Cascading thoughts wash away as I float in aquatic anesthetic. Watching trees giggle as water bounces buttery light under their chins. Mint mojito freshness gives way to slow gin and tonic smile. Crystal waters born in ancient hills carry me back downstream like an Olympian. I emerge, eyes shining bright, like the clear blue seas I arrived on, strong as a Viking fucking warrior. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Laura Graham, everybody. Next up, Stephen Grieve with a poem called When in Darkness.
At first, it is important to note it has not always been this way. It may be hard to remember as the darkness shrouds all the light, but there was laughter, joy, and day as well as night. It's just the way of the world that darkness has might and can suffocate and bite. I repeat, it has not always been this way. So when you are in that dark place, you can get out, even when your demons shout, your mind bleeding, your eyes weeping, your soul peeling. You can recover. For this is what this poem is about. You can find a way. Darkness may lead to light. And the darkness that is left, that still stings, that clouds, that creates shadows so loud, pick up a pen and paper or any other device that technology brought later. Recovery, when in darkness, could mean writing it down. You may be helping others. You may be helping yourself. It's not a complete solution, but it adds to your armory a road towards harmony.
Fantastic. Thank you, Stefan. I would like to welcome our penultimate poet of the evening, reading Recovery Position. A warm welcome, please, for John Devlin.
There's a saying that the best way to get over someone is to get under someone. So if that glum conundrum, that eerie humdrum of post-breakup heartache feels like a height you've been slung from, well, here's a prescription for grass stains, for pink flesh, suspended breath, and the snug warmth of a sleeping stranger following a night you're still numb from. And if the cold light of day re-haunts you and brings back torment you can't run from, and you're worried that falling into quilts too quickly betrayed the thing you lost, that the cost will keep you from recovery, well, the discovery of summer sweat and frenzied breath will help to ease the suffering. You might have wanted stars, but it's time for stairways. You might have wanted balconies, but it's time for humid privet nights and apple-bobbing Eden sprites, moonlit masquerades and dancing fawns and flickering branch-woven lights, hedges and brambles, snickets and sirens, moonlight passion like indigo violence, freckle shoulder rustling of hungover hair in the stirring light of the first blush silence. This guidance won't work for everyone. Some of you will get latched on rebounds, on smiling bland eyes, siphoning your pain onto another, letting it fester. But if you're blessed to have a Dionysian spirit that springs into action at your request, I guess you can leave failed summer loving behind and look forward to the fall semester, because it's going to be the best. You'll fuck away the heartache, becoming self-possessed. You'll find your pride all over again and wear it on your chest. You'll dance in darkened doorways and howl at waxing moons. You'll shimmer and you'll explore ways to ignore your contrasting moods. And then you'll dance away the sadness, one seance at a time. And in a stranger's bed, you'll start thinking about the world again. Horizons will come back, and with skin on skin, with human heat, you'll break your grief like glass. And then maybe you'll lie awake for weeks. But in time, that'll pass.
Next up, Mr. Tom Priestley, everybody, with a poem called Sometimes.
Sometimes you can't help but cry. In the heat of the moment, when the world is silent, when the impossible overwhelms you, when the last stitch in the fabric of non-existence is stripped to its breaking point, and you wish you had a gun to shoot out the lights. Sometimes you can't do anything but break, make a scene from your humanic outbursts that plague everyone as you awake, ripping apart luxuries of sentimental value in the motions of emptiness, and you snarl like a beast without pain, without anything but the will to strike back against the hurt of acceptance that grips too tight. Just bear it, laugh it off, chin up, head down, arse up. That's what they say, but it's never good enough. Sometimes you can't help but cry when there's nowhere left to run and nowhere to hide, when the penny drops and the broken heart screams in a haze of dramatic violence and the walls come crashing down. Sometimes you can't help but feel defeated by a world that keeps turning without your permission. But I don't cry. Cheers.
Big round of applause. Thank you so much, Tom. And that was our final poet of the evening, almost. I just want to say some words of thanks before I hand us over for the absolute final poem coming from Tim in a minute. Thank you very much to everybody at Chapel FM for inviting us to perform tonight and to showcase the voices of poetry who are active in the south of the city. Thank you to the incredible Peter Spafford for organising this festival, and to the tech crew, to the admin crew, to the people who are keeping us fed and watered downstairs, to everybody who's taking the photos and doing all of the wonderful jobs to make this festival possible. We really appreciate it. Big round of applause for them, please. And, of course, a massive thank you to our poets who are from the south of the city and beyond. So now it is my absolute pleasure to introduce my co-host and poetry pal, Tim Brooks, who's going to read us out with Toast and Marmalade.
Woken by the nurse's buzz, grey recall of where I am, obs and one-way cheery chats, washed top to toe, sponge and smiles. She lightly brushes my balls. I'm still alive. Sweet sting of mint on my teeth, my tongue. Now breakfast time. Today, unlike me, something solid, but no breakfast of champions. How about some porridge? I want to say toast. I say toes. No toes today, Tim. But we have some toast. Marmalade. Thank you. What a fantastic evening. Thanks again to all the poets and to Chapel FM. With us. Have a wonderful
evening. We've been the BEATiful South.
We've been the beautiful South.
Yay! Good night.
Homespun, homemade, home baked. Writing on air at Chapel FM Arts Centre.